Imagine getting up every day full of energy as if you were in your 20s again. What would that be like? What would it be worth to you? What is your health worth to you? Think about it. Your health isn't everything, but without it, everything else is nothing. And yet, too many of us are taking it for granted until something goes wrong. And no one wakes up hoping to be diagnosed with a disease or chronic illness. And yet, we've never been taught how to be proactive in our health through our school or public health. As a registered health coach and integrative health practitioner, I believe it's time this information is made available to everyone. Combining new knowledge around your health and the ability to do my functional medicine lab tests in the comfort of your own home will allow you to optimize your health for today and all your tomorrows. Don't wait for your wake-up call. Welcome back to another episode of the Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call podcast. I am Melissa Deely, your host, and today with me I have Hamza Najam. Welcome to the show, Hamza.
Melissa, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm very excited to have you here and to have this conversation. And so I'm just going to introduce you to the audience a little bit. Hamza is a certified breathwork teacher and nationally certified recovery coach, levels 1 and 2, and holds a certification in mindfulness-based stress reduction. With years of experience helping individuals break free from alcohol dependence, Hamza combines breathwork, neuroscience, and personal transformation strategies to guide his clients towards lasting change. And I'm going to stop there with your bio, and rather than reading that, I'm going to invite you to share your story as to how you came to be in this line of work, helping so many people.
Thank you, Melissa. My story will resonate with a lot of people. It's a standard story, one that doesn't necessarily get told the way I have been over the last few years. I always liked to indulge, let's put it that way. Since I was 16, 17, I started smoking pot, back in Pakistan where I'm from. I got introduced to hash very early on, 13, 14 years of age. That's kind of how things started for me. By 17, I had my first drink, and my introduction to alcohol was different than for most people, especially in North America, because I come from a country where alcohol is banned. You can go to jail if you're caught with it. And there's, even though there's a massive drinking culture, it's underground, under the table, meaning we don't get to just buy them at stores, right? We have to go in dark alleys and wait for sketchy people to come and meet us and all that. And what that means is our parents can never find out, which then means we have to get it finished in that night. So my friends and I, we would get together at someone's house or my house, sleep over, and when everyone's gone to bed, that's when the drinking would start. And no matter how drunk we get, no matter how sick we feel, we had to finish it, because if somebody finds out, then we're done. So my introduction to alcohol started as binge drinking every single time. So I never knew the one drink system at all. I came to Canada when I was 19. I found this freedom. Never thought that I'd never, walked into a bar and bought a drink before. It was all so new that that's what I pretty much started doing throughout college, throughout university. That was just a very standard thing. Things started taking a turn for the worse, and this is all very casual. Anyone who would meet me at this stage would be like, oh, just a jolly guy, just likes to have a little bit of fun, whatever, right? But that's how it starts. And then it grows and grows and grows and grows. Before I knew it, I was using it as a reward at the end of the day, especially when I started working full time and had rent to pay and, bills to pay and all that stuff. And what also happened is I am a big fan of electronic music, and I got into that scene within, and of course it's very drug and alcohol heavy, that entire environment. But then I took it a step further. I wanted to be one of those people. So we started doing events together, me and my friends, and that's essentially when things got way out of control, because then it became my identity, became my life, became everything I was. So the alcohol and all the other things that come with it became a norm. Before I knew it, I needed it to feel good. I needed it to feel to change my mood. I needed it as a way to relax. I needed it as a way to unwind. every time I would go see anyone, doesn't matter, close friend, not close friend, it's always with drinks. And I would always pick some up for the ride home and for the rest of the night and so on.
So, just
Before
out of
and
interest here, what is this time span from when you were 19 and you arrived in Canada and you first discovered you could walk into a liquor store and buy alcohol to where you're at right now in your story?
So I am 37 today.
Hmm.
Where I'm in the story is 27.
Okay.
So we're
So it's
now
8 years. Yep.
9 years of almost daily drinking, just a
Hmm.
complete part of my life. And I always told myself, I can stop whenever I want. I just
Right.
don't want to. Why would I? Etc., etc., etc. Early on, I knew that, okay, the smoking, I was smoking cigarettes. I was smoking 10 to 15 cigarettes a day. I was smoking weed. I was doing all sorts of stuff. I don't know how much I can share on here, but I think people get the gist. And before I knew it, I found myself depressed, anxious, overweight, miserable with my life. Skin is all weird. Sheets are poofy, like clothes don't fit anymore. And the worst of all, nobody really liked my company. They liked it so long as we were drinking, but so long as we had other distractions. But beyond that, and I started losing friends, losing people. I couldn't hold a relationship, and by the time I was 27, I was like, all right, we got to do something. And that's when I tried AA. Then that didn't really suit me. I tried therapy after that, cognitive behavioral therapy. I saw a psychiatrist as well. Everybody told me the same thing. Oh, you're okay. You're okay. Just drink less. Just, it's still okay to have one or two, but just have one or two. And I'm like, you guys don't get it. I don't know this one or two business. Like, I need help. And, I read several books after that. There was a period of about 2 or 3 years where I was really trying to do something about this, but half-heartedly.
Right.
It was always for other people or for to make other people happy or just to prove to someone that I can, because by then it had turned into a monkey on my back, right? Like
Right.
everybody knew that this guy drinks a lot every single time. And somewhere along the way, I had a big wake up call, so to speak. I was at a party. I'd been awake for 3 days. It was a festival. On the third day, I passed out in a lake, just completely blacked out. My body just shut down. And had other people not seen that happen, I would have drowned 100%. So they had to pull me out. They had to do CPR. It wasn't pretty. And I woke up with my peers, all the same people that I throw these events with and that I see every week and like all of that. They were all standing over me, seeing if I'm still alive. That is
Scary.
2017.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
very
scary for them.
2016.
Scary for
Very
them and
scary.
scary for you.
Absolutely scary for everybody. All
Yes.
these people knew me. They just met me last week when we were at some other party. So it was a bit of a shock. So that was my wake up call, the worst one, where I was like, okay, I just have to do this. I just can't keep living my life that way. And then started a 9 month journey where what I would classify as white knuckling. Today, I have a clear understanding that abstinence from alcohol is not the same as your healing from it.
Hmm.
But of course, with hindsight, we know a lot of things.
Yes.
But at that time, all I did was not drink.
Right.
That's all I did. I didn't heal. I didn't change my thinking. I didn't change my habits. I did nothing other than just stop drinking. I lived the same lifestyle, same friends, same everything, which then resulted in me thinking about it, wanting it, just always, always thinking about it, always trying to hold myself back. And that was exhausting.
Yeah, the constant battle. I want it, don't
It
have it. I want it, don't have it. I want it, don't have it.
Especially when every time I go out, because I was single then, Friday night I would get so antsy, like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Like sometimes if I had no plans, I'd just walk into a bar and start making friends because that came easy to me. But always 6 pints, 8 pints, 10 pints, like it all depends on the day. And those 9 months were awesome because I got a lot of recognition. People were high-fiving me. These are the same people who saw me, in that state. So everybody was really happy for me. but I wasn't
And
happy.
support for you, which is good.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Everybody was supportive,
Right.
but they all asked me, like, when are you going to start again? When is
Interesting.
your break going to be over? You
Right.
know, like that's the, because nobody really, maybe myself, I didn't really believe that, okay, I truly have changed where I just don't need alcohol anymore. But the biggest lesson I learned in this instance is 9 months on, because after that event, my friend said, after what happened at that festival, the my business partners, also my best friends, they both like came to my house 3 days later when things had settled down a little bit, and basically said, we can't continue working with you. So I said, okay, what if I stop drinking? And they're like, can you? I said, yeah, I can, and I'll prove it to you guys. And that's how those 9 months started. And now when I work with people, I always tell them the first thing is, what are the reasons for yourself? Forget about your wife or your husband or even your kids for 1 second. Just focus on yourself for 1 second. How is this going to change your life, right? Because
Hmm.
that's where I learned that lesson from. Because 9 months later, they still didn't want to work with me. They still wanted to go in a different direction. And to me, when I heard that, there was no more value in staying sober and fighting that fight and in all the energy that goes into this. So not only was I not doing it right, I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And then came the relapse, the worst relapse of my life. So this is April 2017, all the way till March 2020. It was the worst relapse of, like, it was twice as bad as it was before. I didn't have the parties, but I was just sitting at home and drinking or going out and drinking. And like my social circle changed, everything changed. And I felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. My sense of self and identity just got taken from me by other people. How can you let anyone have that kind of power? Again, hindsight. Um, and that's when in March of 2020, just before the lockdowns came, that's when I finally got some wind in my sails. What happened at that time, there was no wake up call as such, no near death experience or no massive tragic loss. And I hope to God that that's not what everybody's waiting for to make some kind of a change in their life. I read a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And in that book, I learned meditation and specifically the law of attraction and how the laws of energy work in the universe, on earth, and all of those things. And it just completely blew my mind. There's a meditation in there, and that was my first introduction to meditation. So, to answer your question, how I ended up here today, that was the beginning where I realized that maybe I am the problem and not everybody else or everything else or the situation or the circumstance or, maybe I'm the problem. And that's when I started digging inward, and that changed everything. So from there, March 11, 2020, that was the last date till today, everything has changed.
Congratulations. And that is an incredible story. And I love the learning. Maybe I am the problem
Yeah,
and I have
maybe
to
I'm the
go
problem.
inward, right? Because
Yes.
truly, in my work as a healer, the healing always starts on the inside. And we know that the body will always get what it wants. And so, it throws you into these, at that point of the event, you were probably incredibly burnt out from all of this, and the body needed rest, right? So
Yep.
you have that near death experience as a wake up call that also forced you into a place of rest. And the other piece of it too is that we're here to learn lessons. Everything is always happening for us. And you were
Yes.
learning the lessons along the way. However, when you didn't learn it the first time, it comes back with more force, which is
Yes.
why from March 2017 or April 2017 to March of 2020, you said that was even worse than previously
Absolutely, it was.
because the lesson had to be shown up in your face at an even higher degree in order
Yeah.
for you to actually get to a place where you understood the lesson.
It felt like literally the universe said to my guardian angels, like, hey, can you teach this guy a lesson, please? Like,
Exactly. That's
can you please
exactly
show
what
him
was
what's up?
happening. Yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
yeah, so the shifting the focus inward just unlocked the world, the true world that I feel is the true reality. The external world is essentially entertainment anyways. But the internal world is where all the magic happens. And yeah, that's when I started changing, and that's what made it easy. That's what made me feel good. That's what made me feel comfortable in my own skin. And I'd never felt that. Definitely not when I was sober for those 9 months. I still felt like I was living a lie. I felt differently inside than I do on the outside, for the cameras and the shaking hands and all of that. But this time felt different. This time didn't, because it wasn't for anybody else. There was no anyone else left at that time. So it was only for me. And that was the biggest lesson, that you have to do it for yourself. You can't do it for somebody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that you learned that lesson. And now you've turned this into a career of helping others. And
Absolutely.
I love that your heart is so big that you're like, okay, I figured this out for me. Who else can I help? Because I know I'm not the only one struggling out there with an alcohol dependency. So let's talk about that. And you've brought your breath work in as well to help
Absolutely.
alcohol cravings. So let's talk about how you can use your breath to stop alcohol cravings in just minutes.
Absolutely. This is so fascinating to me. What I realized is that when you zoom out, like right now we're talking about the alcohol dependent person. But if you zoom out, most people that you come across are largely stressed out.
Hmm.
Look at the world events, look at the economy, especially COVID. When COVID and lockdowns were happening, the world was going this way and I was going in the opposite direction, but it wasn't lost on me what is actually happening in the world. And what I realized is, because the meditation and mindfulness allowed me to go into the root causes, not the surface level stuff. And most of us, in fact, all of us, skip the root cause stuff because we just want the outcome. And the
Right.
easiest way to get to the outcome is to jump to it instead of
We
work
think,
your way.
we think that's the
Yeah, we
easiest
think.
way.
Exactly. We think. So I made the same mistakes. And what I realized is that almost everybody is wound up. They're worried about something: children, home, income, life, health. Like, these are all massive, broad topics that can be narrowed down into several podcast episodes if you like. But,
Yes.
you know, it made me realize that, wait a minute, alcohol isn't the problem here. There's a bigger problem at play. Alcohol is just the solution that we set for ourselves.
Yes.
So what is the real problem?
And
And
it's
the
the
real,
best solution we can find in the moment as well.
absolutely, it's the best temporary solution we can find
Exactly.
that we try to make permanent. But of course, that
Yes.
doesn't work out. Um, so when I started getting into, I of course, I'm sure everybody's heard of Dr. Andrew Huberman. He's the Stanford professor who's also a neuroscientist who's just blown up over the last half a decade. So I started learning neuroscience, more specifically around the nervous system. And because of him, I then I did an entire course from Harvard X, which is their free online school. By the way, if you guys want a Harvard education without the price tag and the certificate, and then you can still learn from their professors. Anyway, so I learned about the nervous system. And the more I learned about it, the more I applied it to myself. And I realized that, whoa, this is like a completely different ball game. So then, digging deeper and deeper and deeper into it, and of course I've been running a community and a program now for a few years. I started using breathwork, nervous system regulation, and just using it in those high, intense moments where the craving is so high and you can't just shake it. A perfect example is, let's say you're a mom, you've got two kids, you just finished work, pick them up from daycare. Now you're home, and now your second shift has begun. Now you have to do the evening shift. In between that, your body is screaming for a glass of wine before you start, just one. Does that make you an alcoholic? No. That just means that your body is conditioned to want that because that's what you've done pretty much all the time. So of
Mhm.
course, your brain is naturally going to go there. But then you tell yourself no, But then the craving just grows and grows, especially the more stressed out you get, the more the kids don't listen, the more the house is a mess, the more like, your husband's late, he's not home when he was supposed to be, and all this stuff is happening. What is truly happening? In that moment, you're not craving alcohol. It's your nervous system that is completely dysregulated. And the nervous system's job is to learn from past experiences, to automate the things that we do the most so that energy can go elsewhere. Nature's evolution, right? So when you learn things like that and then you apply them in a logical way, and you sort of break it down factually and you use it in those high stress moments, because what's happening in that example, let's call her Jane's nervous system is in fight or flight, and her fight is either screaming or her flight is let me grab this bottle and shut myself up in the bathroom for a little bit, because that's what she's feeling. And in that moment there is another way. There is another way, and that is by way of your breath. Your breath is your portal. The difference is, and here's something that I feel like will really resonate with everybody. Think of all the times you've been triggered. How quickly does the trigger happen? How quickly do you go from 0 to, oh my God, I need a drink, I can't handle this? How quickly does that happen? Happens in seconds. And the reason for that is, well, of course, one is that's probably happened a few times already, many, many times over several years. So it's a established pattern. But the second thing is that is your sympathetic nervous system. Now, the two sides of our nervous system, sympathetic and parasympathetic, the sympathetic is designed to immobilize us in the face of a threat. Think of, walking in the jungle back in the early stages. Suddenly a tiger jumps out of the bush. You got to run or you're going to be done, right? So your body needs a way to divert its resources to your legs quickly. And those resources are your blood flow, right? So that you can do what you need to do based on evolution. So because of that, the sympathetic nervous system, it is all plugged into the spine all the way. Spine is the control panel, and that's why it mobilizes very quickly. So the turning on of it is very quick. By contrast, the parasympathetic nervous system is connected to our organs. It takes around 10 minutes for you to go from sympathetic to parasympathetic. And if you notice, it's really just those 10 minutes from when you get triggered to how quickly you act on it. If you can ride that wave for 10 to 15 minutes, you're in the clear. And I know people know exactly what I'm talking about, but it's just our brain, it doesn't let us go there. And that's where the breath comes in, because you're intentionally using something else to achieve the same result, which is to feel calm and relaxed, because that first drink will always feel calming and relaxing, even if it is for a little bit, because it's the first one. And it's doing its thing. It is starting that relationship, starting that pattern all over again, but with your breath. And there's several breathwork exercises. My favorite one for this specific instance is the alternate nostril breathing. You block your right nostril, you breathe in from the left all the way. You change the nostril, exhale from the right, completely emptying your belly. Inhale again from the right, all the way when you have a Buddha belly, when you're fully full. And then you exhale from the left, and that's one round. You do about 10 rounds. It'll take you about 8 to 10 minutes. But by the end, because this breathing technique, it soothes both hemispheres of your brain at the same time, you forget what anything was. It gives you a clean slate, but you have to do it. You have to keep up with it. And more importantly, you have to do the first round, because your brain will tell you no.
In other words, right?
Yes, you have to get started and let it take over from there. When I started using this with people, because I wasn't always a breathwork teacher, that happened about 2 years in. This has been a 5-year journey so far. When I started using it myself and I got certified and I learned all the arts, you can call, all the art around the breath work, I learned from an amazing teacher in Portugal. It changed my life. 2 years into my sobriety, I felt like a brand new person. So I was like, wait a minute, if this can do this for me, what about the people who are just getting started? So I started introducing it. And lo and behold, success rates shot through the roof. People are happier, calmer, faster. The desire to drink is evaporating. The pain, the guilt, the regret, the shame, all of that stuff is being released actively. People are going from not wanting to do the shadow work and sit with their feelings to looking forward to it. How does that happen? That happens when you shift your focus inward. So that was nothing short of a miracle in my eyes, where I'm like, what? Just with your breath, you can do this? And then
Our
three
breath
years
such a
on,
gift. And we take it for granted. And the programming in society is we're not taught this, right? We all have to go looking for additional learning in order to tap into our holistic healing modalities. And the breath is such a fabulous one because we carry it with us everywhere we go. And it's available to us for free. There's no
absolutely.
excuses. There is no excuses to using our breath when we need it. And this is such a perfect example of how our breath can shift us from that sympathetic nervous system state into our parasympathetic nervous system state to give our nervous system what it needs when it actually doesn't need the glass of wine.
Absolutely. And it helps us to get in the mindset of recognizing that if on the surface I want alcohol, what is it that I truly want?
Mm-hmm.
And it allows you to do a little bit of digging. And I mean, it doesn't just end there. I So I work with all kinds of people. Just 2 days ago, we did a success interview with one of our most incredible members. She is an integrative health practitioner. She's also a rodeo athlete, like a roping rodeo athlete,
Wow.
and she's just an incredible person. But she wasn't, day and night drinking, but she couldn't go a day without having one or two. That was her thing. And within a month of her using pranayama, which is what I do, she not only did she stop the pattern, then she completely, like, alcohol is just no longer a thing for her. But she started using breath work and the stop and pause approach
Mm-hmm.
to everything in her life. And it's such an incredible interview. It's on YouTube. I just posted it. I'd love everyone to see it, because what she did is she took these teachings and then she started applying them to other things in her life, other stressors in her life, other not so good situations in her life, and essentially starting visualizing and creating plans for her, and like how she wants to move forward, and the kind of person she wants to be, and the kind of attributes she wants to have, kind of what kind of habits she wants to have, what kind of lifestyle she wants to live. And you know, just it starts with stopping drinking, but it ends with becoming the
Yes.
most thriving alcohol-free version of your life.
Yeah. I love that. So incredibly powerful. And while you're talking about that and that video, and you can give me the link and I can drop it into the show notes as well. Let's talk about how you help people build that alcohol-free version of themselves.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, we work on, well, my program is a year long, so it's not a quick fix. We allow for mistakes, because those are learning opportunities. So, I don't think of that as a failure. In fact, I use that. And most of the most successful people in this program made a mistake once or twice, early on. Um, the way we start is we work on the mind. What are the root causes? What are the patterns? What is being repeated again and again and again and again? No matter what the starting point is, look at the flow of how something happens and where you end up, right? So there's one outcome, but several roads that lead to it, and we have to uncover what those are. These are our patterns, our neural networks that have forged over the years. Then we work on the false beliefs that we have. I need it to sleep. How am I going to have fun without it? I need it to be social. I can't go out without it. I need it for my self-confidence. Those self
Right.
those beliefs that we tell ourselves that then keep us rooted. So we have to We start there. There's a lot of breath work involved, a lot of sitting with your emotions, a lot of bringing shit up and then having to deal with it, that kind of thing. We don't shy away from that. In fact, that is that's the fastest way to coming to the other side, by feeling all the things that you're numbing from. Once we establish sort of how things are configured until now, then we start the work on interrupting all of those patterns. So we use our breath in those sequences where you come home and you suddenly want to drink, or it's the weekend and you want to drink, or you had an argument with your spouse and now you're just, all you want is to shut your brain off, and all of those instances, especially with kids, right? When you have young children, you can't escape the stress. There's no way. So you need something for yourself. Um, that takes about 3 to 4 weeks, and the goal in that phase is for you to build a clear vision of exactly what your life is when
Mhm.
you have achieved all these things that you have set out for yourself. And then we work on training the body to feel what it will be like when it's already happened. This is something that most people miss. You can wish for stuff, but if your body is still stuck in those emotions and that energy of the past, you're not going to manifest whatever you're hoping to. You have to, this is the classic example, fake it till you make it.
Yes.
That's a universal law where you have to believe it, that it's already happened, and walk around like it's already happened. The best example I can give you is, let's say I just hand you a check for $1 million. Okay. You go to the bank and they're like, oh, great. Here, we deposit this bank. Money's going to be available in about 2 weeks. You don't have the money yet, but you know it's coming in 2 weeks, right? How does that change how you carry yourself throughout the day? Ask yourself that. How does that change? Right? How does that change your mindset, your energy? How does that, you're walking around like, yeah, man, I got $1 million coming my way, right? That is what you have to do. And you have to train your body to feel that way. There's ways to do that. I know it sounds counterintuitive, because it sounded counterintuitive to me as well. Before I tested it, and before I was like, oh my God, this works.
And
Um,
it absolutely makes sense to me in the work that I do with the unconscious mind, because the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined.
Absolutely. That's pillar number
So
two.
we're imagining it to bring it into our reality.
Yes, exactly. But you're imagining it with the feeling. Now, the
Yes,
thing about the
absolutely.
feeling is, every human being has an electromagnetic shield around them,
Yes.
their aura, their energy, right? The electro part comes from the neural impulses that exchange information in our brain. We are electric bodies after all. But the magnetic part, that comes from the heart. That is your emotion, right? So you can visualize all you want, but if you don't feel anything inside, then you're just daydreaming, right?
Right.
It's the emotion
Yes.
that then charges, gives it that frequency, then
Yes.
that matches the frequency of what you are trying to manifest. So they go through this training in the first phase. The second phase, once they have a clear idea and they're visualizing this on a daily basis, then we embark on the physical side. This is where the neuroscience comes in. This is the practical side. That's when we start working on the habits, your morning routine, your nighttime routine, how many breaks you're taking, how you handle stress, how you handle anxiety, how you handle, all those different situations that would make you drink. And then we use uh, James Clear, habit stacking. I'm a
Hmm.
big fan of his work.
Yep.
So we use those principles to establish new habits, new routines. This is the most fascinating time, because that's when everyday people are like, oh my God, I feel amazing. Oh my God, I feel amazing. Oh my God, I don't know what this is doing, but this feels amazing. And it's just some switches in how you are starting your day and how you are ending your day and how you're maintaining your energy and the kind of investment you're making into the life you want, the person you want to be. That lasts about 12 to maybe like 3 to 5 months, depending, like everybody's
Right.
pace is different. And then after that, we learned the neurophysiology of chakras, which is not the spiritual stuff. Well, I mean, of course, that can't have one without the other,
Right.
but more education on where these chakras actually live inside our body.
Hmm.
And how, just where They say the root chakra is supposed to be, there are several nerves that are all coming into a cluster and sort of ending at that point, which then gives it this buzz, this charge, this energy in that little plexus, right? And they're all connected to the organs they say that the root chakra is responsible for. So like what? Like when the science, you see it, it's just so fascinating. Um, so then we learn how to balance, how to stay grounded, how to stay and maintain. So the last 5 to 6 months are just about maintenance to see, and then you're testing yourself. We encourage you to go out. We encourage you to go see your old drinking buddies and sort of just showcase the new you and also test sort of how far you have come and, all that stuff. So it's very practical, very exciting. And that is how we go step. I mean, it's too much to cover on one podcast, but just to give you a general idea,
Well,
it's not a,
it's a great overview, and I can tell how, all-encompassing it is, bringing in, the neuroscience behind it, the understanding of the nervous system, the understanding of using the breath to calm the nervous system, and then taking that to the next level by working through the chakras and the frequency, the energy in the body, etc. It sounds like it's an amazing program that is
thank you.
very well thought out, and you guide people step by step through. And I love the fact that you also encourage them to go out. And this isn't about taking the program and then staying home for the rest of your life and it being in avoidance. This is about learning
That's
how
a
to live
prison.
your life fully. Exactly.
Yeah. I was
Exactly.
in that prison. So
For
you're
9 months, you
absolutely
were in
right.
that.
I
Yeah.
was I was in that prison, yeah. Many times. I don't believe that we are all alcoholics and that, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic and all that stuff. I mean, it might work. I'm sure it does work. It does work, but you have to believe it for
Yeah.
it to work. It's the
And you
same
have,
thing here.
and back to what you said earlier, you have to want it for yourself.
Exactly. What I learned about people in general is that nobody really likes to screw themselves over. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's everybody wants what's good for them. And what I've just found is a way to show them how easy it can be if you
Yes.
can just bypass the mental chatter and kind of just do. Don't think, just do. In fact, I tell my people when they first join my program, I don't want you thinking about anything. Just do it. Just do it. Just do the breath work. That's it. Don't think, don't, no
Right.
outcome, no nothing. You're just doing. And the reason for that is our nervous system is responsible for 5 things: behavior, thoughts and feelings, perception, sensation, right? Sensation you cannot negotiate with. Like if
Right.
I touch fire, I'm going to feel the heat. Like
Right.
no negotiation. Perception a little bit negotiable. I can say, how does the bottom of your foot feel right now? Your perception immediately went to the bottom of your foot because you
Yes.
can do that, right? So then the thoughts and feelings, they're a little bit like pop-ups, not no rhyme or reason most of the time. Sometimes there is, most of the time there isn't. And then there's behavior, the most negotiable, the most in your control. And the thing about behavior is that when you start leading with behavior, the thoughts, feeling, sensation, perception, they all start to follow, right? They all start to fall in line with what the behavior is doing. And that's where the success comes from the doing, right? Not from the thinking. Um, so it's like I said, it's just an amazing thing to just see it happen day in and day out.
Well, thank you for doing this work because so many people need it. And thank you for coming on the show to share what you do and what you offer. And I know that there are many people who will hear this episode for years to come because podcasts are out there forever. And as you said at the very beginning, they'll relate to it. And if you're relating to Hamza's story, please reach out. And when you reach out, choose to be doing this for you, being in that place that you want to do it for you, not because someone else wants you to do it. Because if someone else wants you to do it, you're not ready yet.
Yeah, and that when you do it for yourself, it just feels so much better.
Exactly. So, Hamza, I love to ask everybody that comes on this podcast, and you've mentioned this already. However, what does "don't wait for your wake up call" mean to you?
What it means to me is that we all have the power to create the change and build the exact life that we want. We're sitting on it. We're born with it. It's just nobody really taught us how to harness and use it. Now there are people who are doing it, but when you and I were being raised, there was no mention of this stuff.
Exactly.
And we end up, especially with the comforts of life, nice house, nice car, cushy job, money coming in, vacations 2 weeks out of the year, and all that. When we believe that life is good, no matter the stress, no matter the drinking, no matter all this, but look at what we have. That's the trap that makes us docile, makes us comfortable, and just makes us not take action. Don't wake up for your wake up call means listen to your gut. Listen to that little voice in your head. Because what I can guarantee you is this. When you think about this change, lying awake at 2 or 3 in the morning or whatever, the situation might be for you, but when you find yourself thinking about having a change like this, whatever fear comes to mind, whatever comes to mind that then makes you say, maybe not right now, maybe tomorrow, maybe if this happened or if that happens, maybe when I have my new job, maybe when we're in a bigger house or whatever it is. They're all lies. They're not true. These are just the mechanism, the fear-based mechanism the drinking brain is serving you up to say, are you sure about this? Are you sure about this? Because it's worried about its own survival. That part of you that is sitting there wondering and wishing but not taking action, that is the new mind, and that is your gut telling you to take action. So if you can we're not meant to make decisions with our brain. We're meant to make decisions with our gut. And that is the biggest lie that I was sold when I was growing up, that you gotta just, think things through. Sure, you can think things through, but the decision to do or not do has nothing to do with here, because this is feeding you false information all the time. The truest intelligence that you have is in your gut. So if it gives you a signal, do it. And the other thing I want to say is that no matter how hard you think this might be, once you actually start doing it, it will always feel easier than what you thought it would be. I promise you that.
Beautiful. And if people want to reach out to you, how can they get hold of you?
If people want to reach out to me, I like everyone to just follow me on Instagram, and I have a YouTube channel as well. On Instagram, it's hamzanajam.sobriety coaching. You can just find me on Instagram. You can follow me. Or you can send me a message, and we can have a conversation about where you are and whether or not Breathe Sober might be a good fit for you. And I have tons of amazing resources on YouTube. It's just Breathe Sober on YouTube. If you search it, you'll see the logo and the videos. There are several transformation stories of people just like yourself that I keep posting every single week. And then there is my masterclass that will answer a lot of questions for you about what's really the problem and how alcohol isn't really the main problem anymore. And that's where you get started. If you like it, we can then hop on a call and talk further.
And that is the beautiful free gift that you are offering to everyone, is that masterclass. So I have that link in the show notes and all your other links so people can find you easily. And thank you for being so generous and offering that free gift to get people started. And as we
Absolutely.
wrap this episode, Hamza, is there any last words of wisdom that you would like to share with the audience?
Just that, think about how finite your time is on this planet. It's so easy to get lost in what's coming or what's already happened, but we completely miss the present moment. If you want to slow down time and really enjoy your life, just stay in the present moment. I know all of you guys are waking up and wondering, where has the time gone? If you just spend it in the present moment, it will feel like an eternity. So please, be as much in the present moment as you can. And whatever changes you want to make in life, Just take the first step. Forget about the outcome. Just take the first step and let it do its thing from there.
Beautiful. Beautiful words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Hamza, for coming on the show. Really appreciate all that you've shared here today. And thank you to my listeners for always tuning in and learning more about your health and your ability to heal yourself, and that there's many ways to heal, not just one way to heal. And if you are struggling with alcohol, then Hamza is your guy. Reach out to him.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm excited to share with you a new program in 2025 that my training partner, Billy Admi, and I are launching. It is taking place in Q1 2025, and it will bring you to a master practitioner level of NLP, timeline therapy, hypnotherapy, and NLP results coaching. And what this means is with this level of training, you will be able to guarantee your client results to them in writing. And no one else can do that as a coach. So it's very powerful. Throughout the 90 days, we won't be working together daily. However, we have trainings every week. You will be meeting your unconscious mind, designing your destiny, learning self hypnosis and higher self hypnosis, getting a 3-day designation in the Krasner style of hypnotherapist and start working with clients right away. Then we go into our 8-day practitioner level training of NLP, timeline therapy, hypnotherapy, and NLP results coaching. And we end with the master practitioner level of those 4 modalities as we continue to build your skills. Everything builds on itself all the way through the program. On the weeks that we don't have trainings, we have student check-ins, office hours where you can come, get your questions answered, and get the support that you need going through these programs. These designations are valid in 40 countries around the world, and all of this work is done on Zoom live with lots of experiential practice for you to be able to feel comfortable with the techniques when you complete the trainings. And lastly, because we teach it to you on Zoom, you can then go out and work with your clients on Zoom, which makes for a very low startup cost for you to literally be able to start working with clients immediately upon your successful completion of the training. For more information, check out the link in the show notes below.